Hey there, my name is Crafty Kathy, and I want to welcome you to my channel. I am Tickle Pink that you're here with me today. On this channel, you will find love, laughs, and DIYs, all with a little vintage flair. And I hope that we can just forget our troubles for a few minutes, kick back, and spend a little time together. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my episodes. If there's one thing that you can find at every single thrift store, it's definitely baskets. You'll find every shape and every size, and usually at a good price point. Most of the time when we buy them, we throw toys in them or maybe some flowers. But there's so much more that we can do with these baskets. This week I was trying out a new spray gun and I was painting some patio furniture. And then I just started pulling out my baskets and painting all of them. That's why they're all going to be white, because that's the color I had in my sprayer. But I usually go for white anyways on my baskets because it's so clean and fresh. That's how the idea for this week's video sprang into my mind. I thought, why not show some different ways that you can use baskets in your decor? Besides just throwing some flowers in them, or like this one that hides out by my poolside and has all my grandson's toys stuffed in it. This is a shot of all my baskets after I had them sprayed with my new gun, and they're nice and clean and white. Now let's see what I can do with these guys. Here's the first basket that I started with, and I got it at a yard sale for just $1. And this basket is going to be for resale, so I wanted to make it look really snazzy and cute. So I took this beautiful stamp with these birds on it. I got it from Amazon for around $6, and it's in my Amazon store if you want it. And at first I used my new ink pad, which was a light gray color. And I'm just doing this on Dollar Tree tissue paper. Now when I pulled it up, it was kind of a fail because the color was so light, it just made the paper look like it was wet. But then the second time, I used my beautiful black ink, and it came out gorgeous and very vibrant. I'm going to use this tissue paper and decoupage it to the front of my basket, but you know me, I don't like straight edges when I'm decoupaging. So I just wet the end of a fine tip paintbrush and I go around it and then use my fingers to tear it. It just looks better and more natural when there's no straight edges when you're decoupaging something. I'm just using Mod Podge. It doesn't matter which kind you use. And I always try to put a good amount down when you're doing a basket because there's not a whole lot for it to stick to. So when I put my Mod Podge down, I lay my image down and I start off by letting it stick in the center of that image, and then I use my paintbrush to work my way out. And you don't want to touch that image too much because you're going to let it stick to your fingers and it will tear it and mess up the whole project. So it's best to either use saran wrap or just use that paintbrush and be really careful. And always just make sure your edges are sealed really good because that's where your hold is. I think by simply decoupaging this picture to the front of this basket, it took it from drab to fab. But then again, I do have a basket addiction. Now I'm going to take my home decor color, which is called Rich Black, and I'm just going to go around the edges. I started off at the top, and I'm going to go around the edging there at the bottom. I guess you could say the bottom of the top, but I'm just trying to give it a little bit of detail so it's not all white up there. So there's just a little variation and gives your eye something else to look at. I just used a little water and squirted it on my rag to kind of wipe off if I made a mistake. Now this video is seriously sped up so that you don't have to watch every paint stroke. But trust me, I went really, really slow and was really careful. I used a flat end brush and I just went all the way around the rest of the top. I didn't know what it was going to look like, honestly, but I was very happy with the results. Don't ever be afraid to try something because it's just paint. You can always take it off, and start over again if you need to. Sometimes it's when we try something that we don't know what it's going to look like is when it surprises us and it looks the best. And then I just used a little bit of the black along the bottom rim of that basket. And then I moved up to, I guess, what you would call the top rim of the basket. And I went around that part too. And I was so surprised at how this $1 basket turned out. And how the black in the paint just around the edging really made that picture pop. However, the stark white of those leaves on the top was driving me crazy. So I painted those black too and used my little handheld dryer to dry it. And this is what we got on this one. And on the second basket, we're going to make an outdoor birdhouse. So this one was the perfect shape, and it even had the little hole in the front where a tiny sparrow can fit in there. But on the top part, you had to use the bands that's on it to hold it together. But that's good because you could open it up to get out old eggs or nest or anything. So I just glued a bead to the front and used the band that was already on it to pull it down to hold it taut. And we're going to take one of these IOD transfers, and this is from one of their newer books, and it's the smaller one called Ephemeral Melange, I think is how you say it. Now, you know you don't have to use a whole piece of one of these transfers. You can make it fit the piece that you're using, and I think this is so beautiful and romantic on the front of a birdhouse. I mean, maybe that's just me. So all you do is take it off the backing, lay it down, and then you use the little tool that they send you to scratch it. Now, if any of you guys need anything IOD, whether it be transfers, molds, stamps, whatever, I have a friend named Lori over at Milton's Daughter. She's the owner, and she gives my subscribers 10% off all of your IOD needs. And 10% is a great discount. I have so many people ask me where I get all of my IOD stuff, and it's only from Milton's Daughter. Now, I'm going to put a piece on the bottom that's just going to be the small flowers, and then here it's like the name of a seed company, because a lot of these have like little seed packet pictures in them. So I did the same thing. I laid this one down, and I used the little tool to just scratch it or scrape it, however you want to say, rub it. That's the right way, I think, the right word. So then you just take it off. And a lot of times when you start to peel it off, it just comes off anyways, almost like a sticker. And then you just use the backing that you just took that piece off of and rub it over the top, and that's called burnishing it. Then I just quickly added at the bottom left side the little wording that said seed company, and it just kind of tied it all in. Then I took one of the little birds that I get at the Dollar General store, and he's originally blue, and I painted him white. And I'm just going to put a little bit of my Star Bond glue on the bottom and just a little dab of my hot glue. And look at this new Hippo hot glue gun that they sent me. I love it. It's cordless and it's small and it works like a dream, y'all. I'm going to leave the link in the description box below in case y'all want to get one of those. They're amazing. So then I just placed my little bird right on the top. Birds just remind me of freedom. I don't know. Now I'm going to use that flat paintbrush that I had before. It still has black paint on it. And I dipped it into my antique wax. I use that antique wax and I water it down. And so I've got almost like a black and a brown mixture, because birds aren't just one color, they're multicolored. I cannot talk today, sorry. So I just kind of painted it on my little bird, and then I used my rag to wipe it off. In some areas I made it a little bit more black, and in other areas I made it a little bit more of a brown. But when I wiped it off, it just kind of looked right. It actually looked like the little birds that are fluttering around my house right now. Then I used that stain to go all around the perimeter of my box, and I also used my little rag to just kind of wipe it off, and it just gave it a little bit of a very distressed and used type of look. It's really pretty. Then my little birdie popped off because I kept fooling with him and pulling on him, and he kind of like came off of there. And so I'm going to have to put him on with a little bit more of the Star Bond glue next time. Then I used some 240 grit sandpaper, and I kind of went all over the tops of my IOD transfers and all over the top of the box, because it kind of knocks some of that stain down and it makes those transfers look old and rugged. You know what I call it? Vintagey. Then I distressed all along the handle of this birdhouse. It's now become the perch, and if you think about it, it's actually a perfect little perch for a bird. Then I took this color called Vintage Mustard, how fitting, and I just went around the little beak area and just a little dab on his feet to make him more believable. Then I super glued him back to the top of the birdhouse, and I took some of this boxwood pick that comes from Walmart. It's my favorite. It probably looks more real than any of the faux flowers that I've seen. And I just tucked a couple pieces of the boxwood behind the little bird and then kind of underneath him. And I think this is so beautiful, y'all. Then I took my birdhouse out and I placed it in a tree, I placed it in a bush, and I placed it on my fence so you could see different ways that I have it hanging. I'm probably going to keep this one. And I wrote myself a note so I wouldn't forget to let you guys know. There was a couple of you that wanted those birdhouses that my husband's making, those little beach chairs, look like Adirondack chairs from wood, and they're birdhouses. We have a couple of them hanging up, and the bluebirds are absolutely crazy over them. They're going to be in my Etsy store, and it's Kathy's Crafty Boutique, but it's also in the description box below. After I took these pictures, I started noticing that perch just didn't show up enough for me, and it was driving me crazy. So I used Krylon's Color Max in the color Satin Pistachio. Pistachio. That was a tongue twister and quite embarrassing. And have I told you yet that I would love to have you in my YouTube family? All you got to do is hit that little red subscribe button and you're in. It's totally free, and we would love to have you. And if you would, give me a big thumbs up, because it really helps support my channel out here on YouTube. Now let's move on while I can still speak. Number 3 is a cute idea, and I do this from time to time in my booth, and it's usually gone like within 5 minutes that I put it in the booth. But you can take a piece of wood, and it's going to fit in that basket. We're making a little shelf in the basket. We're going to put it on the wall. Okay, you can use any shape of basket. This is a small one. You can use a big one with a big piece of wood. Now, this is actually a piece of flooring that we had left over, but it doesn't matter. Wood is wood. So you just fit it in there to where it's kind of, you know, snug. And then I'm going to use my Star Bond glue to glue the sides down. For some reason, I lost the footage of me doing that, but I just put a few dabs on the side. And don't worry, as long as your piece of wood is put in there snug, it kind of holds itself. And then I took this whole unit outside and painted it all white. Then I'm going to use these transfers by IOD once again, and I'm going to place this one above my shelf.
I do it in the exact same way. You place it down and then you use your little tool to scratch. Now I know that I'm being gutsy by doing this on a wicker basket. So I didn't know how this was going to turn out because a lot of times I decoupage instead of use the transfer. I don't believe the transfers are necessarily made for the baskets, but hey, oh cat'll try anything, I don't care. So I put it on there and I scraped it on there real good and pulled off the film, and then I burnished it, and I was actually pleased with the outcome. Now it goes without saying, since you're just using super glue, I wouldn't put anything really heavy on these shelves, but they are cute as a button on the wall with just a few pieces of like this boxwood and maybe a couple of little trinkets in them. And if you wanted, you could go crazy and paint the rim of it a different color, whatever you desire. Hey, the sky's the limit.
Always trying to be cool, trying to be those bad guys, smoking cigarettes behind the school. Always trying to be cool, trying to be those bad guys, you know. I still think
With number 4, it's going to be quick, and it's these 2 baskets that I got at Goodwill. One is larger than the other, and what we're going to do is decoupage on the front of it. I took a piece of that tissue paper and one of my IOD stamps, which was the peonies. You guys have told me how to say it correctly, peony. And you stamp it on that piece of tissue paper, and then you cut it as close to the image as you can. Now, the best way I could find to show you guys how to do this was to stand up and do it because the basket was so big. Okay, so all you're going to do is take a good portion of Mod Podge, and I tried my best to stay out of the picture. I'm going to start off at the top, but I'm always starting off at the very center of the piece of tissue paper. See, my hands are in the center. And then I go to the outsides because you want to get those wrinkles out. And if I wasn't being so lazy, I would have had my saran wrap where I could have just pulled it back and it would have went right in every one of those grooves perfectly. But I was being lazy. So you start in the middle, as you see me doing there, and then going to the outside. And I'm just being very careful because I don't want my hands to grab onto that Mod Podge and pull that tissue paper. As long as those sides are sealed, you're good. But you want to make sure that you use a pretty good amount of Mod Podge because, like I said, there's not a lot of surface area for it to stick. So wherever it lays, you want it to hold on there. And I'm just trying to kind of pull it out instead of walking 2 steps and getting my saran wrap. I don't know what I was doing. I was just in a hurry. But instead of walking over and getting my saran wrap, I'm sitting there taking chances and pulling it. Now, I can tell you with 100% certainty, if I would have used that saran wrap, it would have been an even better result because it would have pulled it closer. It's almost as if the saran wrap sucks that tissue paper into every bit of the material. So, anyways, when I was done with these, I took that pistachio color and I spray painted the very tops of them because it looked beautiful and it matched. And that's where I got the idea to do the perch because that was driving me crazy. So I'm going to show you this in very fast motion because I'm doing the exact same thing as I did on the first one. A lot of Mod Podge, start in the middle, work your way out. But if you're smart, you'll grab that saran wrap, unlike myself. And if y'all hung through this whole video, I want to thank you so much. And I hope you stick around for the bloopers that's about to come up.
What's it like to be the one that he turns to when he's out of answers?
Thank you guys so much for watching my video. And if no one's told you today, you're special and I love you very much. And don't forget to go see Lori over at Milton's Daughter for all your IOD needs. And go to my Etsy store if you want some sublimation prints or if you want one of those birdhouses from my husband. It's Kathy's Crafty Boutique, and all of that's in the description box below. And tomorrow I'm gonna have a haul where I went to a yard sale and spent like $200 at a yard sale. And I also went to a few antique booths and mall. So we'll have that tomorrow.
Hey there, everybody. It's Cousin Bobby Joe. I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer to let you know that during these bloopers, there are no hillbillies hurt. There are no Tennessee folk hurt. So if that offends you, or if you think that I'm making fun of Tennessee folk or hillbilly folk or people in my family, which this is meant to be about my family, so I kind of thought I could make fun of my family. But anyways, if that offends you, or if life in general offends you, you might not want to watch these bloopers, because I definitely don't want to offend you. I just want to tickle your funny bone. But if that offends you, then I don't know what to tell you, because that offends me. But I'm not sure what offending means, so, okay, we'll talk about this later. Let's get into the bloop. Hey, everybody, it's Cousin Bobby Joe here. Guess what? Since my beau, Johnny Depp, won his trial against Amber Turd, I should be going to Hollywood soon, because you know I'm going to be his next leading lady. Now, $15 million Amber Turd has to pay him. Can you imagine how many cans of Spam and Vienna weenies you could buy with that kind of money? Oh my gosh, I could feed all of my family. Like, we never have to come out of the mountains. So I have been patiently waiting by the phone for Mr. Depp himself to call me his leading lady. On account of, you know, he likes us country girls. He is actually from Arkansas, which ain't too far off from Butcher Holler, Kentucky. You know, the birthplace of Loretta Lynn. Shout out, hello! But anyways, I cracked myself up. But I will take care of all my family back here on this mountain as soon as I make all my money in Hollywood, and I might just take care of all y'all, because I love you. But I just want to touch base with you and let you know what was going on in my life. P.S. Please pray for me and Buford, because I am going to keep Buford on the back burner in case Johnny don't come dipping to my door. Get it? Instead of stepping, he's going to be dipping. Yeah, baby. Sometimes I don't know what to do with myself. Oh my gosh, with this fan above my head, don't I look like some kind of mad bull? Like, I'm just going to come charging out of the brush and get you. I love you guys, but I just wanted to let you know what old Cousin Bobby Joe's up to, because I know y'all been missing me. Who wouldn't? Hello. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.